just how quickly, if you are not thinking, if you do not take 5 seconds out of your life to pause and don't react, how everything in your life can change. So, what kind of night was it? Was it a cold night? Was it a hot night?
June 11th, 1996, man. It was, the summer was just coming into play here in Milwaukee, man. It was warming up, nice day. I called a friend of mine, man, and I said, hey, man, let's get together, let's hang out, man. I got some people over here, they want to hang out. So we went to the store. I grabbed some stuff, and my little cousin, she had stayed with us. My granddad had brought her in and her little brother. So with them staying there as well, I come in, I said, Trina, I'm gonna give you $20. Iron my pants for me. I'm getting ready to go out tonight. So you know how we do. I put the 20 in her hand. She started ironing my clothes. I ran me some bath water. Next thing you know, my uncle hit that door. Boom, blood in his mouth. Like, hey man, they just got me. They just jumped me. So I'm like, oh man, here we go again. So, you know, like I said, this is average activity in the hood, right? You know, cats get jumped. You go out there and squash the beef real quick. So I'm like, hey, go finish ironing my clothes. I'm gonna go squash this beef and I'll be back in a minute. So I run out, we leave out the house. And I remember this just like it was yesterday. My grandmother came to the door and said, where y'all going? I said, oh, Mom, I'll be right back. I got this. The same phrase that I had told my grandmother ever since I left school. Oh, Mom, I got this. So I told her, Mom, chill, I got this. So we walked, got around the corner. So I began to ask questions. What's going on? It was about 15, 20 guys out there and me and my uncle. So I started to ask questions like, what's going on? So I was getting it de-escalated. It didn't have any teeth anymore. It was dead. I was like, okay, everything's fine. And
so you went out there, and I'm sorry to jump in here. You went out there not with the mindset of we gonna get them. You went out there, look, I'm about to go out for the night.
Right.
Just about to take my shower. I just de-escalate this.
Right. So I get there. Some guys is kind of hostile, like, oh man, you went and got Ed. So I'm like, no, man, it ain't that type of party. Let's just, you know, squash this beef, man, what it was about. Did my uncle take some money? Did my uncle touch some drugs? Did my uncle do anything? And it's like, no, he just talking bad, talking tough, talking crazy. So I was like, oh man, listen, man. Even my uncle got a little heated, and I told him, chill out, it's good, we good. But as I am, because people that go for some beef, they come around the corner shooting. Mm-hmm. They ain't doing no talking. They see 15, 20 guys out there, man, they coming around that corner, pop, 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 pop. So I didn't pull out an arm, I didn't do anything, I was just talking. But 3 other guys showed up after the fact that we were squashing this beef. The beef was being squashed. But the 3 guys that showed up later, I don't know if they had any interest on squashing the beef. I don't know if they just assumed because they seen my uncle now with somebody else that it was on and popping or whatnot. But when they turned that corner, with, you know, with the mindset or the from what I perceived where I was standing, the demeanor that, it's gonna go down out here tonight. So wow. At that point, you know, my antennas went up, my ears went up, the hair grew on my arms, and everything in my mind was telling me it's on out here, man. Ain't no turning back.
So how does it go from these 3 guys coming around the corner to you pulling out this gun and doing what you did?
And that's really the gauntlet of this whole situation, is that when the 3 guys turned the corner, you could see the fire in the eyes of the individuals approaching, but none ever approached me. One got up on my uncle, maybe nose to nose. And back in those days, the Carl Kanais, the cross colors, all the clothes wasn't slim back then. Mm-hmm. They were big baggy clothes. So the guy that got up on my uncle nose to nose and they were fussing back and forth, I seen him reach for his pants. when I went to court, they said he was pulling up his pants. But in my mind, what I seen was a guy reaching. So I pushed my uncle out the way, and I shot twice. Pow, pow. At that moment, it's like the world stood still. I shot twice, and everything got quiet. Everything got still. And then everybody started running. Guys started running out of the yard. The guy that was up on my uncle started running in the opposite direction. The guys that were with him started running in the opposite direction. And my adrenaline was pumping. The people was coming out of the yards, and I was shooting at them, trying to keep them back from attacking us. This was my whole mentality. Hey, it's life or death out here now. These guys gonna come at us. So I was just in that type of mindset, and I didn't come down until after everybody had ran away.
Okay, let's stay here for a second. Number one, is this the first time you ever had to bust your gun?
That's the first time that I ever had to bust my gun, yes.
You go out there, you're going out there with the mindset of, I'm gonna de-escalate this situation, but you still had your pistol on you. So I'm assuming
Yes.
that this is just part of your attire. Wherever you went at this point in your life, you know, this was my uniform. I'm dressing up, but I got my thing with me. Is that correct?
Like putting on a belt. When I put my belt on, I grab that too and stick it in my pocket. It's just how I was.
What was you carrying?
At that time, I was carrying a 25. I was carrying a small 25. Like when I went out to clubs, I would carry a small 25 just to, you know, like I said, I'm not starting nothing, but I at least want to be able to protect myself. And, you know, when you felt like it was some drama going on, you tried to always have something a little bigger than that. But a 25 caliber gun is what I carried when I was just hanging out, having a good time.
Got you. Walk me through this moment. You shoot 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
World is standing still. Do you know that the person you were shooting at, do you know he's hit? You said he ran away. Do you see him drop? And ultimately, do you know he expires? He passed away. You just killed the man.
Yeah. When I shot, I didn't even think he was hit. Everybody just stopped in their tracks, and I think somebody even screamed out, "Man, run!" And I think everybody started running. And I never knew he was hit. Didn't see any blood. Didn't see any bullet holes, anything like that. He just started running. And everybody else started running out the yard. So it was just a total panic. It seems like looking back, it was a total panic. And he ran to the next block. And on the next block is where he laid on the ground and he collapsed and he passed away. And that's one thing that I didn't even know once I got arrested later on that night. Everybody was telling me there was police everywhere and all of that. And I started to get really worried, like, man, did I hit him? Did I hit him? You know, and I'm just asking myself this question. So when the police finally came and we started talking, it was me not even knowing that the man was hit yet, that he had died, anything like that. I'm totally in the dark. So I'm just like, hey, man, I was defending my uncle. You know, the thing got out of hand. You know, I thought I had it under control, but it got away from me. You know, and I'm sorry. I still don't know he passed away yet till they got me downtown, put me in a holding cell. And I was sitting in there just wondering, like, what's going on with my life? And they slid a paper under that door, man. And it said, 1st-degree intentional homicide, mandatory life sentence.
Stop there. So when you're talking to the cops, are you at home at this point? When you first start talking to the cop, they come, do they talk to you in the crib, or do they say, look, we want you to come downtown with us?
No, a friend of mine lived up the street, and I was at their house, and we were talking about the incident. Like, man, they ran up on, you know, and this, that, and the other. So we talking about it back and forth, like, what's going on? And he like, oh, man, you know, the hood mentality is, man, there's going to be a war out here, man. These guys coming back. You know, they coming back. So I'm like, oh, man, it's gonna be a war out here. So next thing you know, the police knocked at the door.
At your friend's crib?
At my friend's crib, yes. The police knocked at the door, and I come down, and that's when we start talking. Okay.
At that point, they know you did it. I'm assuming.
Yes.
If they knock at your friend's door, Word
Yeah, they looking for me.
They know who did what. It ain't like it is today where a bunch of people got cell phone video and all of that stuff. How'd they know it was you that quick?
Everybody that was out there, you know, pretty much told them it was me and I had did it and all of that. It wasn't no, like people have in the movies, like, oh, the hood, you know, we can't tell you what happened. We can't tell you who did it. We can't snitch and all that type of talk. That was just a fantasy. That wasn't real. That everybody, like I said, it was 15, 20 people in that yard, and all of them told him that it was Ed. It wasn't no gangster stuff. It was, oh, Ed did that, and Ed be at this house, Ed be at this house. So every house that they told them that I be at, they pretty much showed up there looking for Ed. Got you.
I should have asked you this earlier. The uncle who you were defending, is this one of the uncles you grew up in the same house with?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this was not a distant uncle. This was somebody who was close to you. You loved him, and he loved you.
Yes, sir.
They slide a piece of paper under your door, under your cell, rather.
Mm-hmm.
And it says first degree reckless homicide.
First degree intentional homicide.
Intentional homicide.
Yes.
Mandatory life?
Mandatory life sentence, yeah.
Are we talking a letter, life, or are we talking 20 to life at that point?
No, we talking life. The rest of your natural life.
Before we get into what you were thinking at that moment, I want to take a second here. And I want to, because I don't know who's going to listen to this, and I don't know who's going to watch it. I had a brother who lost his life in the streets. So there's always the other side. And I understand that the first law of the land is self-preservation. You thinking about you, damn, my life is over. Do you know anything about the victim? Had you ever seen the victim before that night? Was there ever a time while you're sitting there that you're thinking a human being just lost their life? Or is it all focused on you at this moment?
Absolutely not. I think that that's probably the part that weighed on me most, even before I got to me, is when I seen homicide. That means somebody had died. And I never, in my 24 years of existence, never even dreamed, never even thought of somebody's gonna die because of you. I would be the one that would save somebody. If you ask anybody in my neighborhood, they would tell you, oh, if you see Ed would save you before he killed you. That is not, that wasn't even in my wheelhouse. But once again, entering into these streets, my grandma and other older people in my life at the time would say, don't let your heart get hard. So my heart got harder. The reality of it all was I never seen myself as being somebody that was capable of taking a life. But when I look back on it, I see the transformation and I see the difference in the person who I was at the beginning of getting involved in this life to the person that I was towards the end of this time. So now I look at this situation and I say, man, it's a man that's not here anymore. So at that point, I felt so bad that I was ready just to throw in the towel. It was like, man, you know, I don't even see no reason for me even to fight. That's how heavy it weighed on me. I wasn't in there like, I'm fighting this, I'm gonna get to him and do this. No, I was like, man, this just, it was something outside of my understanding. It was something that I just could not see or fathom. I couldn't even imagine me being involved in something like that. And it just took everything out of me. And I wasn't running around angry. I wasn't running around blaming anybody. I was just sitting there in a daze, in a fog. And it was just one thing that was over for me. It was over. I wasn't gonna fight it. I was gonna walk in there and just go to jail and stay there.
So did they ever offer you a plea deal? Was there ever something you can cop to not receive this life sentence?
No, I never got a plea. They was first degree intentional homicide all the way. If I wasn't gonna a plea was offered to me, plea to life, and we'll offer you parole in 13, 15, 18, 20 years or something like that. But it would be up to the judge's discretion.
Okay, so you take this thing to trial. Mm-hmm. How long's your trial?
My trial was like maybe 2 days.
Excuse me?
My trial was maybe 2-3 days.
Wow.
3 days tops.
Okay. Do you have money set aside for a lawyer, or are you using a state lawyer?
Well, at the time, I started out, I had some cars. I had a couple cars. I had a couple material items and a few dollars saved up that I was able to piece together and get a lawyer. So the first lawyer I spent maybe $10,000 to $15,000 of my own money that I had got together as far as selling cars and selling the material items that I had to pay for it. But when he got there, he told me that I should take the plea for life. And I was like, man, well, what I give you my $15,000 for? I could have did that for free.
Exactly.
So by this time, the day after the incident happened, my mom came and seen me. And my mom was asking me what happened. And I was telling her I didn't want to explain it to her because I had given up. I said, man, Mom, I messed up. I messed up, Mom. I wasn't trying to do it, but I messed up. So she was like, boy, just tell me what happened. I need to know what happened. So, this mom talking. So I started to explain to her what happened. And she was like, yeah, you messed up, but you need to fight. That's what my mom told me. She said, yeah, you messed up, but you need to fight. And I was like, why I'm gonna fight? She was like, because what they charging you with, you did not do. You did something, and you probably gonna do some time, but them charges is not right. So I don't know nothing about jail. I don't know nothing about charges. So she just told me, just fight. So after that, when that lawyer told me that to take the plea, I was like, well, kind of my mom told me I got to fight. So you telling me to take a plea. And by then, I had read the law books that they had available to us in the county jail. And I kind of pinpointed what I did. And I kind of looked at it as if, okay, I was defending somebody, but I might have overdid it. So I'm looking at myself and I'm trying to look at, once again, yes, I hurt somebody, I hurt a family, I took a life, and I'm going to prison. I'm going to prison. But my mom told me to fight. I'm gonna fight. So once I researched and I seen it and I started to gain some sense of what was going on, because once again, I was in a fog, I was in a daze. And the more research I did, the more conversations I had, the more I said, you know what? I gotta fight. I gotta fight. So I began to say, you know what? I'm gonna take this to trial. I'm not gonna take a plea. And I went to trial. My mom was there, everybody was there. And after 2-3 days of trial, man, I ended up being found guilty of first-degree reckless homicide. So the jury found me guilty of a lesser included offense of first-degree intentional homicide. So you have first-degree intentional, second-degree intentional, and then you start with first-degree reckless, which would be labeled manslaughter in other states. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was found guilty of, first-degree reckless homicide, a maximum of 40 years.